Imagine waking up in Rome. The year is 80 AD. A messenger arrives at your door with a wax tablet. You've been invited to a banquet hosted by a member of the senatorial elite. This isn't just dinner, it's a social battlefield. You dress in your finest silk toga, knowing that tonight your senses will be pushed to their absolute limits. As you enter the triclinium, the air is thick with the scent of expensive incense, roasted meats, and something sharper, the smell of power. The floors are covered in mosaics that look like scattered food scraps, a popular Roman art style called the unswept floor. But don't be fooled. Every crumb on this floor represents a fortune spent. Before we taste the first course, we must speak of the man who made this possible, Marcus Gavius Apicius. He was the world's first true foodie and a man of terrifying obsession. Apicius didn't just cook, he engineered flavors. He once sailed across the Mediterranean just because he heard the prawns in Libya were larger than those in Italy. When he arrived and found them average, he turned his ship around without even stepping onto land. He spent over 100 million sesterces on his kitchen. But history remembers him for his tragic end. When his fortune dwindled to only 10 million sesterces, he calculated that he could no longer live in the luxury he deserved. He invited his friends to one last spectacular banquet, and at the end of the night, he drank a cup of poisoned wine. To Apicius, a life without the world's rarest flavors was a life not worth living. Now, look at the table. The first course arrives. It's dormice, small rodents stuffed with minced pork and baked with honey and poppy seeds. Next comes the star of the show. A massive wild boar is brought in by 4 slaves. When the chef plunges his knife into its side, a flock of live thrushes bursts out, flying across the room to the delight of the guests. But the Romans didn't stop at animals we recognize. To show off, an emperor might serve a dish made entirely of flamingo tongues or the combs of roosters cut from live birds. They believed that the more difficult an ingredient was to obtain, the more divine it tasted. The wine you are drinking, it's thick and sweet, mixed with honey, spices, and sometimes even crushed pearls, to show that the host literally has money to burn. But there is one flavor that defines every single dish you see: garum. If you walked through the streets of Pompeii, you would smell it before you saw it. Garum was made by taking fish guts, intestines, blood, and gills, and layering them with salt in large stone vats. These vats were left in the hot Mediterranean sun for months. The sun's heat triggered a fermentation process, turning the rot into a clear amber liquid. It was the ketchup of the ancient world. They put it on meats, in their wine, and even over sweet desserts. It provided the umami flavor that made Roman food addictive. Today, we might find the idea of sun-rotted fish guts repulsive, but to a Roman, a kitchen without garum was a kitchen without soul. As the hours pass, the guests become weary. Roman banquets were endurance tests. To continue eating, some guests would step away to the vomitorium, not just a hallway as some believe, but a place where they would literally purge their stomachs using a peacock feather, just to regain the capacity to eat more. It was a cycle of gluttony that symbolized the empire itself: expansion, consumption, and decay. As the sun rises over the 7 hills of Rome, the banquet ends. Some guests leave with gifts of gold, others with nothing but a headache and the memory of a taste that no longer exists. The Roman Empire fell for many reasons, but its obsession with the impossible plate was surely one of them. What part of this menu would you dare to try? Leave a comment below and don't forget to subscribe to Ancient Bites for more journeys into the kitchens of the past.